Welcome back, everyone. If you're interested in growing large, healthy, productive, disease-resistant plants in your garden, today's video is one you're not going to want to miss. Today, I'll be sharing with you how to brew up your very own batch of compost tea, also known as worm tea. We'll be using some worm castings today. And this information is a culmination of experience. Over the past several years, I've been brewing up tea in my garden and getting amazing results. So I just want to kind of put this into a compact video for you guys, go over the different ingredients we're putting in and why, and also share with you some money-saving tips. In my opinion, when it comes to having a fertilization schedule in your garden, one of the main objectives should be cost savings. Now for today's brew, we'll be using this DIY homemade compost tea brewer, which is none other than a 30-gallon brute garbage can, and some PVC pipe that has some perforations, some holes that have been drilled in. Now this design works amazingly well. There's actually no glue. This is all dry fit together. And I got the idea for this brewer off of Oregon State University's website. It was put up by a Mark Rutter, and for whatever reason they've since taken down the instruction on how to build this. But I did find another link online, and I'll drop that below this video. There's a PDF you can download. And all these parts here, all the PVC, can be purchased at your local Home Depot or Lowe's, as well as the garbage can. Then there were just a few other components I was able to pick up on Amazon to complete this build. One being this commercial quality air pump here, which has been a workhorse, does a great job feeding air through the tubing and then into this brass elbow, which pushes the air through the PVC manifold system. And now for the ingredients. What we're going to be using today, first off, is some vitamin C powder, also known as absorbic acid. And what this is going to do is neutralize any chlorine or chloramines that are in your water supply. If you're going to be using a tap water to brew your tea, I prefer rainwater, but for today's demonstration, I'm going to try to share with you what's probably most common, folks using tap water. Then the chances are it's going to contain chlorine or chloramines. We definitely have chloramines in our tap water supply, and it's pertinent that we neutralize those chloramines. Otherwise, what we're actually going to be doing is killing off the microbes that we're trying to proliferate in the system. So let's go ahead now and fill up the tea brewer using some tap water. Alright, so now that we've filled up the brewer with some tap water, we're going to go ahead and add in the vitamin C powder. Now, vitamin C powder is readily available at your local grocery store, health food store. You can purchase it online. It's inexpensive. Now, there's three major benefits, as I see it, using the vitamin C powder versus some of the other conventional techniques for neutralizing and removing chlorine and chloramines, such as aerating your water for a 24-hour period, which, by the way, hasn't been proven 100% successful in removing chloramines. Chloramines are a bond of ammonia and the chlorine, so it's much harder to break that bond and dissipate those chemicals. So 24 hours may not be a long enough time of aeration to actually get the results you're looking for. With that being said, I've had great results using that technique in the past. Now, the first major benefit is actually turnover time. Once we add the vitamin C powder to the tap water, we only got to wait 10 minutes and we're good to go. Versus if you were aerating for 24 hours, so we're saving ourselves a full day of wait time. And that brings us to the number two benefit, which is if you are aerating for 24 hours, you're expending energy running the air pump. So we're saving money, we're saving energy by using the vitamin C powder. And the third benefit is that vitamin C is actually a nutrient for plants. They'll uptake it as a fertilizer, so we're adding even more value to our compost tea using the vitamin C. And all you need to neutralize chlorine and chloramines is 1,000 milligrams for 30 to 50 gallons of water, which comes out to a quarter teaspoon with the 5,000 milligram vitamin C powder. You can put in a little bit more, not a big deal. I'm going to probably put in closer to a teaspoon. I'm just going to drop in about 3/4 of a teaspoon of vitamin C powder. Now I'm going to turn on the air pump for about 20 seconds and allow that airflow to agitate the water and get that vitamin C mixed in. And you can see here just how great a job this pump and manifold system do at aerating the water. We're getting air bubbles from top to bottom. Alright, so we waited a few minutes. Now we can go ahead and add in the ingredients to make up our tea. And there's just three ingredients we'll be using today. One is a liquid kelp. Then we got some molasses here. And then also some worm castings. Here's a bunch of worm castings I harvested out of my bathtub worm composting system. Now, both the unsulfured molasses and the liquid kelp are going to work as a carbohydrate, a food source of sugar that's going to help to feed those beneficial microbes that we're trying to proliferate. In addition, the liquid kelp is going to add some nice nutrients and a nice spectrum of minerals to help feed your plants. Now before we get going adding those ingredients into the brewer, a couple things I want to share with you. Number one, this recipe did originate from the same instruction on how to build the brewer by a Mark Rudder, so shout out to you. And secondly, this recipe can be scaled up or down, so if you're just making a 5-gallon batch like I used to in a 5-gallon bucket, you can just do the division and use 1/5 of the ingredients. Now the recipe is as follows. We're going to be using 2 cups of the worm castings for every 5 gallons of water, and since we're brewing up a 25-gallon batch, that comes to 10 cups. And then for the liquid ingredients, we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of each, the molasses and the liquid kelp, for every 5 gallons of water, which comes to roughly about a 1/2 cup of each liquid. Now here's a new addition to the system that I'm really happy about. I went ahead and purchased a commercial compost tea brewer bag. This is made by Heavy Harvest. I really like the work they've done here. We've got some nice stitching all around the edge, a more heavier duty mesh material than the 5-gallon paint strainers I used to use. And they've done some experimentation and work on the micron level of the bag, so that apparently you're supposed to get a better effect when you're brewing your tea. And what I really like about this bag is it has this clip system so that I can just clip it right off to the top of the brewer. I'm not going to have to fiddle with it anymore, tying it off or clamping it down. So, and the bag is bigger, so that's going to make everything a lot easier. And look at those homemade worm castings. Isn't that beautiful? And I've already done the measurements. About 2 full scoops of this here equates to about 8 cups. Just put in 2 big scoops. And the reason why this is a 25-gallon batch is because we're not filling it up to the very top, obviously, but we're just going to remove the center stem. This is the aeration wand. There's some holes there at the bottom, and we'll start to submerge our castings here. And the wand is going to go into the bag like so. Then what you can do is fold this over a couple times just to keep all the castings in the bag. And we'll go ahead and clip that on. And now we'll stick the wand back on to the manifold. And I'm just going to bring this around 1 extra loop just so that all the worm castings stay in the bag. So everything is nice and secure. Now we'll add our 1/2 cup of liquid kelp here. And a 1/2 cup of molasses. Rinse that out a bit. And that's all there is to it. We're just going to turn on the pump, slap on the lid. 24 hours later, we're going to have ourselves some premium compost tea. Now the best way to save a ton of money and make compost tea cost effective is going to be, number one, start creating worm castings on site at home. Get yourself a worm bin, make yourself a worm bin, start feeding it some scraps from your kitchen, and harvest this lovely black gold. It's going to save you a ton of money. You're going to have a high quality product on your hands. If you're not creating the castings at home and you need to buy it, along with these other ingredients, I recommend buying in bulk. So what I've gone with for the molasses is this Earth Juice High Brix molasses for plants. Again, able to pick this up on Amazon. It's got a nice little pour spout, so I just pour out what I need into a jar, have that ready to go. And then again, this organic liquid kelp, purchased online, Amazon. It's 1 gallon, lasts a very long time. So if you're serious about gardening, you should be making compost tea on a regular basis. So buying in bulk is going to save you a ton of money. And I'm timing this batch with the weather. We got some nice weather coming up tomorrow. So this batch will be done tomorrow evening. A great time to apply the compost tea is either early in the morning or later in the evening, not during full sun in the mid-afternoon. And the way I like to apply it is through a foliar feed. I got a technique where I use a transfer pump connected to a hose and a spray nozzle, and I blast my entire garden. But you could also use any pump sprayer, backpack sprayer, or simply just dip in a watering can, pour it over your plants, do a root drench, all good stuff. Now it's only been a few minutes, but in just a few hours, all the way until the tea is finished brewing, you should see a nice, healthy, fluffy white foam develop on the surface. This is a good thing, nothing to be worried about. That's letting you know you've done a great job, you got a healthy, potent tea. I want to thank you all for watching. If you found this video helpful or entertaining in any way, I sure would appreciate a thumbs up. If you haven't already, I'd like to invite you to subscribe to the channel. New uploads every week, sometimes every day. So with that, I want to wish you all a great rest of your night. Have yourself a great weekend. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.